Greetings everybody, Dragon here, and in my last video I slightly mentioned a comic that came out at the end of August titled Batman/Catwoman: The Gotham Wars Battle Lines, but I didn't go into details because I was mainly talking about Jason Todd. Since then, it has become clear to me after reading Batman issue 137 from the series launched back in 2016 that they are legitimately trying to make an argument for what Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, is trying to do. Just to give you a quick summary, since Tini Howard took over in issue 39 of the latest Catwoman series launched back in 2018, this character has been progressively becoming worse and worse with each issue. Just to make a very quick mention of what has been happening with her, Catwoman suddenly went from trying to find her way as a hero or anti-hero, getting her shit together and generally trying to help whoever needed it, to a hardcore feminist that thinks crime only affects women and that the rich should be ashamed of themselves just for being rich. Not to mention endorsing female criminals and framing it as a goal women should have. I am talking full-on only men do bad things mentality. During this change of direction, Selina ends up murdering someone, then she goes to prison as a form of self-imposed penance, but halfway through it the writers decide to take a hard left and make her help criminals become better criminals. Yeah, you heard that right. She thinks that the best way to help criminals is to make them better at breaking the law, rather than trying to reform them so they don't have to commit crimes anymore. Note here, Tini Howard was also involved in writing Batman/Catwoman: The Gotham Wars Battle Lines, so if you wonder why it sucks so much and the Bat family was acting out of character, she is the reason why. It's even more obvious if you read Batman/Catwoman: The Gotham War Red Hood, because in that comic in which she isn't involved at all, is better written, and the characters, mainly Jason, actually behave like you would expect. Either way, afterwards Selina decides to give Batman an ultimatum so he will let her new students go unpunished when they break the law, under the premise that they were just stealing from rich people and not committing violent crimes, plus lecturing Bruce about how he just beats up criminals and never tries to actually help anyone reform, despite the fact that Bruce has given her, Jason, Harley Quinn, Clayface, Two-Face, Batwoman multiple chances after their fuck-ups, which include murder, and how Bruce sets up multiple charities to help underprivileged people, and how 90% of times he tries to de-escalate situations with the least amount of violence possible. Also note here, she has the balls to say this when it was her plan that allowed Joker to steal Bruce's money and resources in order to finance Gotham's latest destruction. But I digress. After hearing this, Bruce simply denies her request and proceeds to investigate her claims in order to verify the effectiveness of her methods. Spoilers ahead, it ends up exactly as anyone with a bit of common sense would expect. One of her students got killed when he was trying to rob a place. Another note here, they literally made Commissioner Montoya, aka the female question, so bad at her job that she didn't even notice that crime hasn't actually gone down at all. Now, throughout all of this, the most outrageous thing they've done is making the Bat family agree with Selina. The Bat family, that is mainly constituted of people that have been victims and have been victimized by people that, just like Selina, thought they could mess with whoever they wanted because they could. Somehow they thought it was a good idea to completely destroy the Bat family's beliefs, morals, and ethics, just so they could force a confrontation between them and Bruce. Also, they are implying that the Bat family are a bunch of dumbasses because none of them reach the very obvious conclusion of how crime isn't actually going down, just shifting from one type to another, effectively making Selina's solution, air quotes of that, literally wrong. Now, I get that this story comes from the geniuses that believe rich people should be punished just for being rich, but objectively, Catwoman is wrong, and here are a few reasons why. First, we have the fact that if like 20 to 30 people only steal money from the rich of Gotham, that by default have to be a very small amount of people, they will eventually dry out the well, to the point that they will have to start competing between themselves to get money, which will lead to infighting and most likely will lead to even more violence, but this time coming from highly trained people that can do way more damage. Second, Selina is literally only targeting the people that have the resources to hunt down and kill her students, essentially putting these henchmen that she was trying to save in way more danger than they were before. Third, how is she going to guarantee that these people won't use their new skills for their own selfish and violent goals? She either has to be an even bigger hypocrite by threatening them and is willing to actually harm them/kill them, Or she doesn't do anything, effectively making Gotham 100 times worse because now it will be plagued by highly skilled and dangerous criminals. Fourth, she can't train them all, or at the very least train them to be as effective as she is. Thing that is proven in the first issue when one of her students gets killed by the owner of the house he was trying to rob. Not to mention that not everyone will be able to learn from her, and if she has to handpick people to teach and can teach many, that will mean that a good portion of henchmen will have to go back to work for villains and do violent crimes, or that they will have to commit crimes either way just to survive, basically neutralizing her attempts to help Gotham. Fifth, since she isn't teaching them anything that will allow them to stop committing crimes altogether, they will basically have to keep stealing for their whole lives. And let's not forget that they will have to be constantly dealing with the paranoia of being criminals, always looking over their shoulder or jumping at any siren they hear. Not only assuring a life without peace, but also dependency on crime, which eventually will lead them to an even darker path. I could go on, but I think you get the point. Selena isn't helping anyone, and the fact that they are framing this as a somewhat viable alternative for criminals is just ridiculous. Regardless, this is just the beginning of the story, and I am hopeful that throughout the whole story they will teach Catwoman a lesson, not to mention disavow this whole ideology of it's okay to commit crimes as long as it is against rich people, and it is better for criminals to stay criminals rather than reform. Also, because I know someone will bring it up, no, I don't think that the way Bruce is dealing with this situation is correct, and I also don't think it's right for him to hide the whole Sur and R thing from the family. But at least in his case, it's believable because of all the things he has been through recently, not to mention how his family just turned against him. But there is no excuse for the Bat family to act this way. There is also the fact that what Selena is doing is just objectively wrong, as A, nobody should be targeted, especially for such petty and superficial reasons. B, she clearly isn't thinking straight, as implied from her own comics. And C, she's doing the exact opposite of what she thinks she's doing. But yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope to see your thoughts in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Gold star.